Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. I'll cover the latest news that is important for us, that is important for the country, the economy, as well as your money. I'll cover the latest controversies regarding our recovery from this pandemic and the big bet from the Biden administration. Welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Let's just jump right in. Now, as you know, the president has been pushing for individuals to wear masks, and now there is new CDC guidance about not needing to wear masks outdoors. Now, if you do need a reason to get vaccinated, I encourage you to watch this video. If you've made up your mind about not getting vaccinated, I urge you to watch this video all the way through to the end because there is some interesting new information emerging about this subject. First, let's check out the president pushing for vaccination. As far as the president is concerned, if you need a reason to get vaccinated, this is it. Let's roll the tape.
Ahead of his first address to Congress on Wednesday, President Biden giving remarks on the state of the pandemic. The president announcing that the CDC has updated its guidance for wearing masks outdoors.
Starting today, if you're fully vaccinated and you're outdoors and not in a big crowd, you no longer need to wear a mask.
Giving this message to everyone else.
For those who haven't gotten their vaccination yet, especially if you're younger or think you don't need it, this is another great reason to go get vaccinated now.
Now, here's a very interesting exchange. NBC's Peter Alexander asked the president, "You chose to wear a mask as you walked out here. What message are you sending by wearing a mask outside alone?" To which the president responded, "Now watch me take it off and not put it back on until I get inside." Now that is quite a zinger. Let's roll the tape and check this out as the president addresses his own mask wearing habits. Let's watch.
And you chose to wear a mask, sir. You chose to wear a mask. You chose to wear a mask as you walked out here. What message were you sending by wearing a mask outside alone?
By watching me take it off and not put it back on until I get inside.
Now, let's take a look at another interesting statement from the White House COVID advisor, Andy Slavitt. Andy said this: everything you do is safer if you're vaccinated. Everything. Go to a wedding, go to a restaurant, hang out with friends, go to a barbecue, go to work. Everything is safer if you're vaccinated. Let's roll the tape and hear from the White House senior COVID advisor, Andy Slavitt. Let's roll the tape.
Everything you do is safer if you're vaccinated. Everything. Go to a wedding, go to a restaurant, hang out with friends, go to a barbecue, go to work. Everything you do is much, much safer if you've been vaccinated. If you haven't been vaccinated, those things are still dangerous. And that is, I think, the overarching point. Forget about the steps, because we'll be there, 1 week will be this step, next week will be another step. But the fundamental point is we are going to get back to normal, and it's going to be normal for people who've been vaccinated, and it's going to be more risky for people who are not. And that's the message that I hope people hear.
Now, let's listen to what Dr. Fauci had to say in response to comments from the well-known media personality Joe Rogan, who basically said, hey, if you're young and healthy, you don't have to worry about it. Folks, I don't think that's the right way to look at it. You not only have to think of yourself, you have to think of other individuals, because you could pass this on to someone else, who could pass it on to someone else, who could die as a result of this pandemic. Here's Dr. Fauci saying you have to put a little bit of societal responsibility in your choices, and that's where I disagree with Mr. Rogan. Let's roll the tape and hear from Dr. Fauci. It's up to you whether you decide to listen to Joe Rogan or whether you decide to listen to Dr. Fauci. Let's roll the tape and hear from Dr. Fauci.
So you have to put a little bit of societal responsibility in your choices, and that's why I disagree with Mr. Rogan under that circumstance.
Now, by the time you watch this, President Biden will already have addressed a joint session of Congress. Here is Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, talking about what he expects from President Biden. I'll be doing another video on our channel going into more detail about what President Biden said and how that bodes for the future of our country. But here's an interesting comment from the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, where he says, I expect President Biden, unlike his predecessor, will lay out the facts and appeal to our better angels. In a direct shot at former President Trump, this is what the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer had to say. Let's roll the tape.
I expect President Biden, unlike his predecessor, will lay out the facts and appeal to our bettering.
And speaking of taking shots at former President Trump, here's the Speaker, the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, essentially again taking a shot at former President Trump and saluting the US Capitol Police for protecting the Capitol on the 6th of January. This is a direct quote from House Speaker Pelosi. Maybe no one adequately predicted a President of the United States would incite an insurrection, but they did save the lives of every member of Congress, risking their own lives. In other words, the US Capitol Police risked their own life, which they did, to save and to protect members of Congress. Let's roll the tape and hear from House Speaker Pelosi.
I want to salute them because they saved our lives that day. Maybe no one really adequately predicted that a president of the United States would incite an insurrection, but they did save the lives of every member of Congress, risking their own lives.
Now, by the time you're watching this, you've also probably heard that Rudy Giuliani's place was essentially raided by the FBI and by federal authorities. Now, in case you're wondering whether Rudy Giuliani has his whole act together, here's a very interesting video put together by the Recount, but that basically says there's no way the feds could find anything at Rudy's place. He essentially has his act together. Let's roll the tape and check out this little montage, if you will, of Rudy Giuliani's antics. Let's watch.
Lev Parnas once again lied.
See you in Ukraine soon.
And taught me strong values every day. They never seem to show people like me.
And puts his hands in his pants for a few seconds.
She's 15. She's too old for you.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
The president tweeted, "Lawyers press conference at Four Seasons, Philadelphia, 11 a.m. A few minutes later, he followed that up with a clarification. Four Seasons Landscaping.
Oh my goodness, all the networks. Wow. All the networks. You start doing ballots like this.
People don't die of this disease anymore.
President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, has been hospitalized with COVID after a week of multiple public meetings.
Single witness, just like you.
Did you all watch my cousin Vinny? He says to her, how many fingers do I got up? 3.
Now, obviously, Rudy Giuliani's son, Andrew Giuliani, is not happy with this at all. And as you would expect, he makes this about patriotism. He says, any American, whether you are red or blue, should be extremely disturbed by what happened here today, by the continued politicization, I believe that's what he said, of the Justice Department. Folks, I want you to tell me whether the previous president politicized the Justice Department or not. But first, let's take a look at this segment with Rudy Giuliani's son complaining about the politicization of the Justice Department. Let's roll the tape.
Mind you, I'm speaking as a son and a concerned American. Anybody, any American, whether you're red or blue, should be extremely disturbed by what happened here today, by the continued politicization of the Justice Department. This is disgusting. This is absolutely absurd, and it's the continued politicization of the Justice Department that we have seen.
Now, speaking of complaints from conservatives against President Biden, here's a very interesting segment featuring a series of complaints, a liberal fantasy infographic. Yes, you heard that right. A liberal fantasy infographic from the Republican senator from Iowa, Joni Ernst. She describes the following as liberal fantasies, which you'll see on your screen: defunding police, abolishing ICE, the Green New Deal, Supreme Court packing, and DC statehood. She calls these liberal fantasies. Let's roll the tape and check out Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa, the Republican, breaking down liberal fantasies with an infographic. Let's watch.
Democrats want to defund our police and abolish ICE. They want to remake nearly every aspect of our economy with a radical Green New Deal. The Democrats are plotting to pack the Supreme Court with ultra-liberal justices and destroy that institution. And to pad their numbers in Congress, Democrats are attempting to make Washington, D.C. a state.
And folks, while all this drama is happening, President Biden is forging ahead in his address to the joint session of Congress, which I'll break down in another video on our channel. Here's a headline of an article on your screen from the Washington Post. Biden's big bet: he can remake the economy without any negative side effects. The American Families Plan, in addition to the American Jobs Plan, okay, is $4 trillion, folks. We're talking $2.25 trillion in the American Jobs Plan, $1.8 trillion in the American Families Plan, an additional $4 trillion in spending. The American Jobs Plan and the American Families Plan is a big, bold plan from President Biden, and President Biden wants to remake the lives of lower and middle class America without creating inflation, without creating slower growth, and without lowering the incentive to work. Now, this has been covered in extensive detail in this phenomenal article from the Washington Post that you see on your screen, and we'll provide you with a link to the article in the description section below. Check it out and let me know what you think, and I'm happy to cover this in more detail if you want me to. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I appreciate you. Please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.